Joe Vitale here, Vitale Wealth Management, with this week's grading investment market update. All information is gathered as of the week March 30th, 2026. Hope you had a great week so far. Let's get into the weekend review. Major U.S. indexes rebounded during last week's holiday shortened trading week, snapping a 5-week losing streak. The NASDAQ was up 4.46%, followed by the S&P, which rose 3.38%, and the Dow was up 2.98%. Now, international markets also showing signs of recovery, with international developed equities posting a 3.08 gain, and emerging markets were up just about 3.34%. Now, despite last week's rebound, both the S&P and the NASDAQ declined for a second consecutive month for the first quarter of 2026. All three major U.S. indexes recorded their largest quarterly losses in nearly 4 years. Meanwhile, oil prices spiked again as the ongoing Middle East conflict refueled concerns about a prolonged interruption of oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. crude oil prices traded around $112 per barrel last week. That's the highest since mid-2022. So yes, we'd love to see that go down. Talk about upcoming economic releases. It's a busy week on the economic front with several key reports expected to provide further clarity on interest rates, economic growth, and inflation. So on Wednesday, April 8th, the release of the last Fed meeting minutes will provide insights into the latest interest rate decision. On Thursday, the PCE price index will offer key insights into the path of inflation, while the release of the third estimate of GDP will release the same day, will offer more refined view on economic growth. So we're looking at the quarter of GDP, see how that's going to come up. Also, on Friday, the Consumer Price Index delivers another key read on inflation, and the Consumer Sentiment Report, released the same day, provides a reading on the U.S. consumer confidence. We did get some of that information today on Tuesday. It was a little bit lighter than expected, but better in some things. So we're seeing a little bit of course, volatility in the market. Now, the market outlook, despite markets being closed on Good Friday, the March jobs and unemployment report was released, offering key data points into the health of the labor market. The economy generated 178,000 jobs in March, well above the expectations, rebounding from the previous month's revised net loss of 133,000 jobs. Now, the unemployment rate dropped from 1.3% to 4.4% in February. Looking ahead, investors' focus will remain on ongoing negotiations between the U.S. and Iran, particularly for any signals on a potential resolution of the conflict. Attention will also turn to key inflation reports later this week, and the CPI will be closely watched, especially for signs of inflationary pressure stemming from high oil prices. U.S. crude oil prices have risen roughly 90% since the start of the year. Average price of, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, over $4 a gallon right now. So that's the first time in over 3 years. Economists expect March CPI to increase by 0.9 month over month, according to the Reuters poll. So yes, as we said early in the year, we're getting some volatility. We're going to continue to see that, but hopefully it's going to start to even out in a little bit. Let's talk about some recent activity in our gradient portfolios. As you know, gradient rebalances every quarter. There hasn't been any changes so far. How about stocks in the news? KLA Corporation, which is owned in the G50, it's a semiconductor company, saw its shares move higher after announcing a new $7 billion share repurchase program. Stock was up 9.71% for the week. How about Nibius Group, which is owned in the small and mid cap? It's a European AI infrastructure company, announced a 5-year deal with Meta Platforms worth $27 billion. Stocks were up 17.95% for the week. So pretty solid. That concludes our week, this market update. We thank you so much for being part of the Vitale Wealth family. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you know the number, 855-756-5700. Visit us at vitalewealth.com. God bless you. We'll see you again next week.